Okay, Bill, have you shot in Vancouver before?
This is the second time I've been up here. I worked on a film called A Man with a Gun a couple of years ago.
Bill, tell us the story of Air Bud.
Um, well, Bud is a dog named Buddy, and he's owned by a clown, and a clown who's not very talented, but Buddy's very talented, and Buddy's not in a very good situation because he's being worked unfairly, and so he encounters a young boy about 10, 11 years old, Josh, who loves him, treats him fairly. This happens when Buddy gets lost inadvertently and is separated from the clown. And so it's a story of how the boy and the dog bond. And but more than that, I think it's a story of teamwork, because what happens ultimately is Josh wants to get onto the basketball team. He has a little problem doing that because he's new at the school. And when he finally is encouraged to go ahead and go out for the team, then he has to deal with being the new kid on the block. And he ultimately meets the character that I play, who happens to be an ex-ball player and is an engineer in the school. And their friendship develops in such a way that Josh does get onto the team. Buddy eventually gets onto the team, and so there we have the story without telling too much of it. And Buddy actually does play basketball in the film and actually does make shots.
Do you play basketball or are you a fan?
I'm a fan. Yeah, I've been a fan all my life.
I saw you talking to Mel Davis. What was it like meeting a Harlem Globetrotter?
That's great. It's interesting. Mel Davis is probably exactly what you would expect a Harlem Globetrotter to be. Harlem Globetrotters always express the greatest in terms of humility, humanity, and humor. Wonderful sense of humor. And it was very inspirational watching him work with the youngsters. I wasn't aware before I came up here. Of course, I'd never met Mel, and I had no idea of the kind of work that he was doing with children, but I understand this is what he does all the time. I must say, he and I became friends, just immediately, because he's just such a warm, open guy, and a very honest man who has a lot of integrity and teaches teamwork. I think if the film is to teach anything, it teaches teamwork, and remembering the Harlem Globetrotters all over the years, seeing them over the years, seeing the magic of what they do, being able to do things with the basketball that no one else can do. I realized watching Mel work with those kids and having to do some movement with the ball myself, I realized that it all amounted to just simply learning the basics, knowing what your fellow players were going to do, they're knowing what you're going to do, and it's reminiscent to me of the great ball players we have today, two in particularly, Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, how they can motivate a team by being not only good at what they do, but being able to share with the rest of the players.
Bill, how did you like working with all those kids?
I always like working with kids. I love them. They're the greatest people in the world. They're honest. You know exactly where they are. They're always good people to work with.
Tell us about working with Charlie Martin Smith, your director.
Charlie is very interesting. He did a lot of work in terms of making the story flow and making it logical. Not that it wasn't before, but he just did a lot to add to that. And he gave me a good deal of help in knowing what my character was about and where I wanted to go with it. And he gave me the kind of latitude that an actor likes when he's, when you're working on something. You like to know that you're free to find out what something is for yourself, how you feel about something, rather than have someone put you in a little box. So I enjoyed working with Charlie a lot.
I'd like you to tell us about what we're calling the courtroom scene, where you're in it with Eric Christmas, Michael Jeters, and the young lead boy, Kevin Zegers.
It's an interesting scene. It was fun, really, because here you have well, I guess it's typical scene about good and evil. Here you have the evil owner come in to claim his property and put that property back into bondage and to work again. And then you have the good influence that Josh represented. You had the clown and then Josh, the good influence, fighting over possession of this animal who really just wants to be somewhere, who just wants to do whatever. And so I found it a very funny scene, but there's a good message in there too.
And who do you think is the audience for this movie?
Everybody. That's it. Everybody.
We should rephrase that where you answer the question like you should say, I think anybody would enjoy this movie.
Okay.
You might not be able to edit that so close together.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, we'll ask it again then. Who do you think is the audience for this movie?
I think everybody will enjoy this movie.
Great. Cut. That's it.
Great.
You're an angel.